Welcome to our Lunch and Learn webinar series. My name is Dalia Dragicic, and I'm the Caregiver Program Coordinator for Aging Independent Services, Health and Human Services, County of San Diego. I also work with the Caregiver Coalition of San Diego, an organization made of many different community partners dedicated to help family caregivers. I want to make sure that everybody knows I will be recording today's webinar for the future viewing, and you can find our webinar on the Caregiver Coalition website under the webinar library. Today's presenter is Valeria Ochoa, community educator for the Southern Caregiver Resource Center. Valeria's education in public health, experience working in diverse communities, and an extensive background in health disparities and research make her an excellent advocate for caregivers. Today, Valeria will be talking about how to do the self-care while staying home during this COVID-19 pandemic. There will be 10 minutes available for Q&A at the end of the Valeria's presentation. I'm going to mute everybody so that we can, including myself, to make sure that we minimize the washing and all the other sounds. And at the end of the presentations, I'm going to unmute. And if you have questions, please ask questions. Don't have immediate question, you can email me or Valeria, and we both will be happy to answer to your question at a later time. So take over, Valeria.
Okay, thank you so much, Dahlia. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Valeria Ochoa. As Dahlia mentioned, I am a community educator for Southern Caregiver Resource Center. Southern Caregiver Resource Center, or SCRC for short, is a nonprofit organization that began not too long ago in 1987. For some, those 30 plus years is a lot, but for others like me, that's not a lot of time. And the reason why I say that is because we offer a variety of free resources, but there's still so much more that we are doing and so much more that we want to get done to help our caregivers. For those of you in the audience, you may be a caregiver yourself or know friends or family members or other individuals who are caregivers. So today's presentation is self-care while staying at home during this 2020 pandemic that began not too long ago, but we're still trying to adapt. This is a very, very highly requested topic, and personally, I think it's a very, very important presentation and topic that everyone needs to talk about and focus on during this pandemic. And the reason I say this is because it is centered on self-care. But today it is focusing on self-care specifically for our caregivers. Because during this time, it's very hard for me personally as a caregiver, and I know that for other caregivers, to focus on self-care. Because as a caregiver, we're constantly on the go, focusing on our loved one, the care receiver, and sometimes, or I should say very often, we forget about ourselves. So during this COVID-19 pandemic, we will be focusing on self-care while staying at home. Next, please. The learning objectives for this presentation are that we will develop, hopefully, a positive mindset by the end of this presentation while addressing the concerns that we are facing as caregivers during the social isolation and pandemic. We will also explore fun and virtual activities that we can do because, yes, we can. There are a lot of activities that we can take advantage of during this pandemic that we just don't know about, that a lot of us don't know about. We will also be incorporating self-care, because that, again, like I said, is very important while connecting with the community resources. Because besides SCRC, there are many, many other resources that you as a caregiver can take advantage to help yourself and help your loved one as well. Okay, we're going to move on. Next, please. So I wanted to start off real quick. I know that this is a webinar and I can't hear any of the participants, but I wanted to ask, how are you today? As a caregiver and as a viewer, how do you feel today? Just take a few seconds to think about what your mood is like at this point in time right now. Next, please. Some of you may be feeling very happy, very relaxed, calm, and productive maybe. And on the other hand, some of you may not feel so well. You may be feeling tired. You may have shoulder pain, knee, back pain, any kind of body aches, and that may take a dwell on your mood. And some of you, like me, may be feeling okay, not exactly 100%, but we are doing okay in this point in time. But the reason why I am asking is why you're feeling okay is because there are studies, many studies that show that a very optimistic mood or a happier mood can help you grasp information and comprehend different information and obstacles better than the individual who feels maybe not necessarily happy or what we like to say negative sometimes, which is okay because as human beings, we may feel negative, and specifically as caregivers, we have our ups and downs as always. But right now, we're going to be focusing on having an optimistic attitude and trying to stay on top of our caregiving responsibilities because sometimes that's very hard to do. Next, please. So in this presentation, we're going to go over tips to maintaining a positive mindset. This comes with self-awareness, shifting your mindset, learning from your mistakes, and connecting with positive individuals. Next, please. So first of all, self-awareness. Southern Caregiver Resource Center really likes to encourage our caregivers to create a mood chart because what better way to be more self-aware of your mood and your attitude than to create a mood chart. This mood chart can help you track your mood patterns. You can you can write it down as easy as on a notepad, or you can keep track of your mood on your phone. And what this means is simply, if you like to keep track of your mood on your phone, you can just pick up your phone. Let's say for today, it's Thursday. Today, I feel okay. And this is the reason why I feel okay. Maybe something happened with my mother today that kind of brought my mood down for today. I would write that down on my notepad. With that, I can keep track of my mood scale by keeping a 1 through 10 scale, 1 being maybe not the greatest and 10 being the best. And of course, you can always get creative and use different colors to represent your moods. If you click Dahlia on the tab, a mood chart will pop up on the tab. Yes, exactly. So these colors, for example, black can represent stress, yellow, nervous, and so on. Blue, it could be relaxed. I personally use this as a caregiver because it helps me have more self-control. Sometimes I may lash out on my mother, who I'm taking care of, and I try to understand her because she's going through a very difficult situation herself. But as a caregiver, sometimes this can be very frustrating for me as I have the caregiving responsibility offer on my own. And keeping a mood chart can help me keep track of why I lashed out on my mom on that specific day, or why I didn't feel my best, or why I felt really happy, because everyone wants to feel relaxed and calm and happy every single day, but sometimes that's very difficult to achieve. Next, please. So with this, we are going to try to shift our mindset. With this, we will try to create a new mindset to create new results by embracing change. During this 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, some of us may be having a difficult time adapting. Some of us may be working from home remotely, or you may be working at your job. And it can be a very difficult thing to adapt to, especially if you're a caregiver. But flipping the switch to being negative to being more optimistic can make a very different and drastic change in your caregiving role, because if you feel more optimistic, you're more likely to succeed with your caregiving responsibilities. So with this, we want to focus on the present. We don't want to dwell on the past. Sometimes that's very difficult. For me, it is very difficult. But focusing on the present rather than the past is very important as well. And of course, laughing it out sometimes with the mistakes that we make, finding the humor in the hardships will also help us. And if you feel like an overachiever sometimes, you can start with SMART goals. So developing a small little goal that you can achieve every single day to help you be more productive and shifting your mindset to a more positive one. Next, please. Learning from your mistakes. Again, I said that finding the humor in your mistakes is sometimes a good thing, but remember that we will make mistakes every single day because we are all human and that's okay. And as caregivers, we're bound to make mistakes every single day, maybe more than the average person. I know that that's me. But remember that making mistakes make us better caregivers because we will learn from these mistakes eventually. And with this, try to imagine what is possible. Remember that it's all a matter of perspective, remembering that you will do better next time, and also keeping in mind that we can rely on others to help us out and help us learn from our mistakes and to help us, more importantly, to not repeat those mistakes. Next, please. So with self-care, we try to connect with positive individuals. Individuals that have maybe not necessarily the best mindset, but a better mindset that we may have, or at least close to the same, or one that we want. With this, we want to keep in mind that we can still have that social interaction. It is not forbidden during COVID-19. It is recommended by the county and the CDC that we do keep our distance, but that doesn't mean that we can have a social and virtual interaction. We can have friendly meetups on Zoom, Google Hangout, Facebook, whatever social media app that you may be using to try to keep that positive and social interaction that we need as human beings. With this, you can vent, get advice, have a laugh, relax. And having this social interaction will definitely help increase your mood to a more positive one. Because as human beings, we need that on a daily basis. And of course, there are other days where you may not necessarily want to interact and you can just stay in and read a book maybe. But connecting with positive individuals is revolving around self-care. Next, please. Now we will be addressing the concerns and challenges during the social isolation. We have very, very many, and as caregivers, we have different challenges and concerns as the other caregiver or our friends and families. Every person is different, so that means that some of these challenges may pertain to you and maybe they will not. Some of these come with appointments and medications, grocery shopping, caregiving support that we may be receiving or not, and staying healthy. Continue, please. So let's start with appointments and medication. I know this is a very, very big one with me. To try to avoid any conflicts or headaches for me, I try to stay up to date with my healthcare provider or my mother's healthcare provider as a caregiver. Try to keep that communication with the doctor to know what his or her schedule is like, so you can reschedule non-urgent doctor's appointment if you have one. With this, your doctor will know what your schedule is like somewhat if you have that open communication. And if you do have that doctor's appointment in person, you can go in person, of course, with healthcare recommendations and the distances that you have to keep. But if not, if that appointment is not 100% important, try to reschedule it again to be done through the telehealth, telemedicine, whatever your healthcare provider may have. And what this means is that you will have your doctor's appointment virtually. You can also have your medication delivered to your doorstep. All you have to do is ask your healthcare provider if they do that, which I'm pretty sure that they do that because we're up to date with that. But if not, you can go to different pharmacies and communicate with them to have your medication delivered to your doorstep, which is very, very easy and convenient to do. Next, please. As caregivers, we need to stay up to date with many things, and this also includes staying up to date with our local pharmacy updates. Some of them, I know that Rite Aid, Kaiser, Sharp have special hours of operation. In fact, every single shop or business that is operating at this time, we all have special hours of operation due to the pandemic, and this is understandable. So because of this, there's senior shopping hours, and there's also a senior day discount. This does not apply to every pharmacy or every local medical center, but some of them I know that they do have a senior day discount for certain medications, certain foods, like grocery shopping. Some of them also have waive charges for home delivery. They have a drive-through pickup at their windows. But with this, let's keep in mind that some of these pharmacies may have a temporary supply shortages because of course there's individuals that are buying loads and loads of supplies, and this includes medication. So sometimes there will be medication shortages, but keep in mind that they are trying to restock, and they will be restocked eventually so you can get your hands to it. And with this, of course, be mindful and limit your purchases to certain products because everyone is essentially on the same boat. Not exactly, but we're all on the same boat with a pandemic. So try to be mindful with the purchases that you make. Next, please. And moving on to grocery shopping, we try to reduce your frequency to going to the grocery store. I know that for me, I go at least once a week. And since I'm the only designated person to be the caregiver for my mother, I'm the only one that goes to the grocery store. But if you do have more than one individual that you're living with, maybe try to send your loved one to the grocery store, and you can stay with your caregiver, receiver, the person that you're caring for. But the most important thing to keep in mind is when you are going to the grocery store, one person should go to try to limit the exposure because the individuals that we're caring for are immunocompromised. So what that means is that they're more prone to catching COVID-19. So that's why it's important to designate one person to go grocery shopping. And when that person does go grocery shopping, make sure that it's important that they maybe carry a sanitizer, or if the store has a sanitizer, that they sanitize the cart, sanitize their hands, and of course, wear the mask. Continue, please. And of course, keep the 6 feet apart from other individuals. Keep your distance because this is a way that we can reduce the transmission from the virus. Continue. And if you carry your phone like me all the time, try to keep it in your pocket, keep it in your car. Do not touch it because if you do, you're contaminating your phone, taking it home, and essentially contaminating the rest of your home. So try to avoid that as well. Next, please. Now, caregiver support team. This is something that some of us may not have, or some of us may not know that we have, but we do. We always have that individual that lets us know, hey, if you ever need anything, Valeria, that's me. If you ever need anything, let me know and I can go grocery shopping for you. And I can buy all the supplies that you need for your mother, and I'll just drop it off at your doorstep, and then you can just sanitize it. And I can relieve some stress. But of course, I don't contact that person because I try to do it all on my own. But that's not the case. Like me and like other caregivers, we have a support team. So that individual, I could write her down as my emergency contact since she's so open in helping me out. And with this, having an emergency contact is important during these times because we don't know what can happen tomorrow or today, for the matter of fact. So having this at hand is very handy during this time. And of course, making an alternative plan. What if you were to become sick? What if I were to become sick? Who's going to care for my mother? And of course, I have a backup plan for that, but we're trying to avoid getting sick. But in the case of, if the case were to arise and the situation were to arise where the primary caregiver does become sick, having a backup caregiver is a great plan as well. And having assignments for your caregiver support team does relieve some stress and does relieve some of the long assignments that you have to do and the tasks that you have to do for the day. So if you do have some other family members that are in your caregiver support team or some friends, having this assignment list will help you out with your caregiving role as well. Next, please. Now let's talk about staying healthy. This is something that may be very repetitive that you've already heard of from the CDC, San Diego County, friends, family members, and everyone. But again, this is very important, which is why I'm talking about it. Part of focusing on self-care is focusing on your health as well. So that means staying healthy. So of course, wash your hands frequently with water and soap for at least 30 seconds, 20 seconds to 30 seconds. Try to hum your favorite song, get underneath those fingernails, scrub between your hands, and get all those germs out to the best of your ability. But if you are a caregiver that is caring for someone that cannot necessarily wash your hands very easily, try to have a hand sanitizer so that they can sanitize their hands in replacement of the water and soap. Having a rag with a bowl of soap and water and maybe a little bit of rubbing alcohol can also help you if your loved one is on bed rest. So you can use a rag to wipe their hands, then their arms as well, so they can be clean and tidy. Of course, avoid touching your face. If you sneeze in your elbow, and after that, maybe wash your hands as well. And keep your surfaces clean. Try to stay indoors. And of course, wear a mask and avoid being with close proximity with individuals, and especially if that individual is sick. Next, please. Now let's talk about the fun activities that everyone can use during this COVID-19 pandemic. You can have family movie nights. That's one of my favorites. My mother likes to watch TV. So sometimes watching one of the movies that I like, she doesn't understand what is going on, but she likes watching the figures on the TV. I can watch one of my favorite movies, and that way I can spend some time with my mother while I am at home. Having a bingo night or board games can also relieve some stress for you and your loved one. Having that physical interaction and one-on-one activity can be very good for your loved one who may have a cognitive impairment or a sickness, because having that stimulation in their brain can help them out. And of course, try practicing some gardening. That's something that I'm really doing right now. If you're caring for someone that has Alzheimer's or some form of memory loss, this can be very, very therapeutic for them and for you as well. Because it's more of an earthy activity, I like to say. So these are just some of the activities that you can use and do at home with you and your loved one as a caregiver. Next, please. There are also virtual community attractions that not a lot of us know about. The San Diego Zoo, actually, if you reside within the San Diego County, the San Diego Zoo has live attractions of the zoo. You can watch the penguin exhibit, the dolphin exhibit, all from your home. If you have a laptop or a smartphone with internet connection, you can tune in during these live attractions that are on 24/7, and they're really great to watch with you and your loved one. You can also have virtual tours. For example, NASA has virtual tours of their spaceships, of the kind of work that they are doing and the experiments that they are working on. There's also online galleries. If you like Picasso, Van Gogh, this is a great way to take a look at these art pieces without having to leave your home. And of course, if you are a grandparent and a caregiver that is caring for your grandchildren, then there's also educational videos. Maybe you have children of your own. There's educational videos for your children as well as free video concerts that have been pre-recorded. Sometimes they're streamed live, and you can have a virtual community attraction from your home that is safer than leaving your home, and it can keep you active throughout the day as well. Next, please. Now let's talk about the caregiver and focusing on self-care. Some of you may be feeling low on the battery, and others may be feeling recharged and fully operating, but a lot of the times that's not the case. Next, please. Caregivers, I would say 85% of the time have a low recharge battery. So what that means is that they have caregiver burnout. They're not focusing on themselves. They're tired all the time. They have body aches. It goes back to the mood that I was talking about in the first or second slide that we went over. The effects of caregiving on the health and well-being are detrimental to the caregiver. So what this means is that if you have a combination of prolonged stress, physical activity, and emotional demands of caregiving, and if you don't take care of yourself, the biological vulnerabilities that come with the acute illness places you at a higher risk for a significant health and chronic health problems. So what this means is that if you're not taking yourself, that will have a very detrimental and decline on your health. So taking care of yourself is important. Remember how I mentioned that if the primary caregiver gets sick, what's going to happen with the care receiver, your loved one? So we really need to focus on our health and well-being as well. Next, please. So with this, keep in mind that the best way to be an effective caregiver is to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, no one else is going to take care of you. No one else is going to take care of me. So sometimes the best advocate for ourselves is us. And focusing on self-care and our well-being is our number one priority, because that way we can be better caregivers and we can cognitively comprehend better how to be better caregivers and how to care for our loved ones' health as well. Next, please. So caring for yourself is important. Try to stay active and mentally active by reading a book. Maybe try doing a puzzle, jigsaw puzzle. Try picking up on a new hobby like scrapbooking, knitting, sewing. You can also try doing yoga, Tai Chi. This helps you stay active. It helps you keep a better balance as well. There's a lot of studies that show that if you do Tai Chi specifically, as you get older, you can develop a better balance, because not a lot of us think of this, but when you're standing, as you're standing, we're constantly moving. And as we get older, and if you're moving a lot, as a caregiver, you lose your balance. So that increases the chances of you taking a fall in your home, and that also increases the chance of your loved one taking a fall in your home. So staying active, picking up on a hobby, and caring for yourself will significantly help you with your caregiving roles and your mental well-being as well during this COVID-19 pandemic. There's always ways and different activities that we can do during this pandemic to keep ourselves busy and mentally well. Next, please. So finally, don't forget the Z's. So what this means is don't forget to get those hours of sleep every single night. I don't know about you, but I get at least 5 hours. Now with the pandemic, I get at least 5 hours of sleep. So the first step to overcoming stress and anxiety is to actually develop a good sleeping habit. I know that I don't have one and I'm still working on it. So trying to go to sleep at a certain time at night and waking up at a certain time in the morning will help you develop a good sleeping habit, because you're actually developing a routine. So if you wake up every single day at the same time every single morning and go to sleep at the same time every single night, it will actually help you and you won't feel as groggy when you're waking up in the morning. So try to get comfortable when you're going to sleep. Pay attention to what you're eating at night. Don't have a very heavy meal, because that will actually delay the amount of time that it takes for you to go to sleep. And with this, it actually goes hand in hand with the care receiver. Try to limit having dinners at 8, maybe have them at 6 or 7, so your loved one has an easier time falling asleep. Try to also avoid electronics. Turn off the TV before going to bed, or I would say an hour before going to bed. Dim the lights as well, because the light actually literally keeps our bodies awake. So dimming the lights will help your loved one and yourself have an easier transition when going to sleep. And of course, if you're working remotely, leave your work outside the bedroom. Because if you're hearing your phone going off with all the emails, that will give you that will not facilitate you trying to go to sleep. It will actually give you a harder time and you will end up going to sleep very late. So leave your work outside the bedroom. That's the 5 tips that I can give you when trying to develop a good sleeping habit and getting your Z's in as well. Next, please. These are some online resources that you can access as a caregiver and that I personally use myself. The Aging and Independent Services with the County of San Diego, the link is right there, and their phone number. They have a variety of endless resources that you can check out at their website. A lot of these resources and activities that they are doing are virtually because of the pandemic. Everyone else is trying to adapt and we are doing things virtually as well. The 211 San Diego website has a variety of workshops, events, virtual events, trainings that are available on there as well. You can find Southern Caregiver Resource Centers, our workshops and events on the 211 San Diego website as well. There are also, I don't know if this is with every school district, but I know that some school districts offer free meals for children. So if you are a grandparent or you have children of your own, take advantage of these services, because some of these, they actually provide free school supplies, notebooks, and lunches as well. Next, please. And of course, staying connected with your resources is also trying to stay connected with us. We offer a variety of endless free resources as well. With this, I want to show you the COVID-19 and Caregivers Health Bulletin that we created alongside my team. We created this to help our caregivers, specifically tips on how to prepare during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is all on the caregiver perspective. So what to do with your loved one, and how to take the precautions. Essentially, I like to say that this is essentially my presentation. Next. Along with this is a summary of my presentation to the fullest. There's tips on how to stay healthy, addressing the challenges and concerns, as well as flipping the switch to being more optimistic. So make sure to tune in. If you'd like, on our website, they're available on our website and on our Facebook page as well. Next, please. These are all of our services. They are absolutely free and they are meant for the family caregiver. We have anything from support groups that are done virtually all throughout the San Diego County in English and Spanish, legal financial consultation, respite, specialized information. We have the family consultants that can help you assess your situation as a caregiver, and many other resources like the Operation Family Caregiver that is meant for military caregivers. Next, please. Be sure to check out our SCRC website. So what this is essentially our iCare portal in which you can tune in into our podcast, 1 hour trainings or classes, or our 1-minute tip videos. I always like to say that if you don't have 1 hour of your time to learn about a caregiving topic, then you might have 1 minute of your time to learn about the different highlights that are within that 1 hour class. So we also have our 1-minute tip videos in our iCare portal system online. Next, please. So feel free to stay connected by following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. This is where we update our latest news. In this tech-savvy generation, we're trying to keep up. So part of that is having these social media platforms. So check us out on our social media pages as well. Next. This is our contact information. I will now be taking any questions. My name is Valeria Ochoa. If you would like to have my email address or phone number, feel free to ask, and I will share that with Dahlia so she can connect you with me.
Thank you, Valeria. This was a great presentation, and hopefully it's going to be very helpful for our caregivers. If you guys have any questions, this is the time to ask Valeria while we have her here, but if not, we can definitely get in contact with Valeria because she provided all this information, and you guys can email me for questions and I can get in touch with Valeria. Is there any questions at this time? Well, all right, Veva says no questions. All right, thank you, Veva, for tuning in.
Of course, thank you, Dahlia. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I hope that everyone found this presentation informational. It's something that is very important. I think self-care is very important during this pandemic. And feel free to share this information with any other caregivers that you may know. For those of you who are watching, hopefully this isn't the last time you will see me or hear me present any caregiving topic. Yes. I wish everyone the best, and thank you so much, Dahlia, for the opportunity.
Thank you. You take care of yourself, and I will see you soon.
Okay, have a good
Bye-bye.
one. Bye-bye.